Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Okay, there we are. It looks like we're live.
There we go.
Welcome to the Northeast Ham show for August. Today we're going to be talking about HamFests. But before we do that, I think we're going to go around the room and let everybody introduce themselves and talk a little bit about them. We've got W1STJ Todd N2MAK. We've got Paul N1OG. We've got Marvin W0MET. And we've got me, N1NUG. I'm going to turn it over to Todd first and where you're from, that kind of a thing.
All right. Name here is Todd, W1STJ. Live in Amherst, New Hampshire. I've been a ham for a couple of years, do a lot of POTA. And it's basically what I've been doing this summer. Picking up some parks, went down to North Carolina and picked up a park in North Carolina, one in Virginia, and one in Maryland on that trip. So those are 3 new states that I got this summer. Heading down to the Cape at the end of the month. Going to work the Cape Cod Rail Trail. I think that's the park that I do down there. It's kind of near where we're at. And maybe activate from the house we're renting and just set up my radio for the week and maybe do some hunting and, play radio, see how it goes.
Sounds like a good plan to me, Todd. Let's see. What are you up to, Mike? Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you might have going on.
Yeah, what's up? Mike, N2MAK. I'm out in Western New York, and I do a lot of portable operations, POTA and SOTA. But today, as you can see behind me, I was hanging out with the Rochester VHF group who did their summer tune-up and picnic. So it was really cool seeing a lot of microwave activity on 10 gigahertz and even above. So got to do some real cool or check out some real cool nerdy stuff. There's a big VHF group and contingent in Western New York and then Southern Ontario, Canada. So it's a great place if the high bands are what you're interested in, and it's something new, something different. It's not the typical stuff you see when we go out and we do POTA and we're hanging out on 20 or 40 or whatever. So it's fun to see new and different things. And I just got to say, I got a lot of respect for these guys because you don't just go out and buy a radio or an antenna for 47 gigahertz or something like that. This stuff's like all homebrew. These are real smart hams putting stuff together, but it's a real great bunch, and they're there to help others out along the way. So there'll be a video on that coming later for sure. Definitely.
Cool.
Yeah, we've got a group like that here in New England too. I don't know a whole lot about them, but I've seen them set up different places, mostly on hilltops and things like that, with antennas like that beaming different places, especially test weekends. So that'll be an interesting one to watch. Paul, N1OG, what's up in your world?
Hey, it's good to be here, Paul, N1OG. Also, Merrimack, New Hampshire. And I saw Mike's post earlier, and I was like, that's some real alien stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we get all the time, you know, people coming up to us while we're doing POTAs, you know, that, oh, you're talking aliens, but man, you get a whole array of dishes out there, and you're talking to something. Not a whole lot going on in my world. Just rolling strong with the Weekend Warriors podcast. We got episode 4 is going to drop next week, and you know, I got a little ham radio kit that was dropped off to me, and so I'm looking forward to building a tape measure Yagi.
Cool.
Awesome. That sounds good. Let's see, Marvin, take it.
Yeah. I just a little bit of variety of everything going on, really. Just projects from stuff related to work, and then working on actually a new logo for the Ham Radio Guy channel. So that should be popping out here probably in the next week or so, and coming up with a new emblem or logo for the channel there. Got another podcast coming out pretty soon talking about cruises. So if everyone's out there interested, talking about ham radio on cruises, should be pretty good. I was hoping to get a POTA in today in Rhode Island, but it was a little warm. The dog was getting a little overheated, so I ended up canceling that one. But my brother's coming he'll be here in about 2 or 3 weeks for Ham Expo, and we're just going to take a Saturday afternoon and run down to Rhode Island again, because he'll need to activate it as well. And so I'll get it reactivated then, since I didn't really get it accomplished today. But I might try and get out and get one done tomorrow. But I got some QSL cards for K2H we have to get mailed out as well. So from 13 colonies, those are still coming in. So pretty heavily. We got a full box, a couple hundred of them to get out. So we'll be working on that project tomorrow. So yeah, busy days, a lot going on. And then obviously, as we get into HamFest, we'll talk about more tonight.
Yeah, sounds good, Marvin. Got your hands full for sure. Over here, I'm Rob, N1NUG. If you're not familiar with me, I am from Northern Connecticut. And what I've got cooking for ham radio, I've got some HamFest plans coming up, and I'll talk about that later in the video. Haven't done much with radio this week, although on my bench, you guys can't see it because I forgot to grab it. Try and take apart and get working. They're old early 80s Kenwood HTs, big heavy things that you can use as a weapon. So definitely want to get at least one of them going, and I'll share that on the channel when I get around to it. Got some antenna projects I'm working on too, so keep an eye out for that. But anyway, I think let's try and get right into the topic at hand, which is HamFests. We don't have anything specific we're going to talk about off to talk a little bit about the New England Ham Expo, which is coming up. I think it's 2 weeks. It's August 22nd through the 25th, and I'll share some information about that in a minute. But this is one of the biggest ham fests in New England. And the nice thing about this one is it's also the ARRL New England district. So not only is there a flea market, we also get some nice forums that we can attend and learn about some of this stuff in ham radio that we've all kind of practiced. There's a good slate of forums that you can attend as well. What I think I'll do is just share real quick the website for that, if I can get this working. Let's see, hopefully that's coming through. There it is. So you can see here's the landing page for the Northeast Ham Expo. It's held in Massachusetts, which is pretty central to all of New England. I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's about an hour drive. And I think for most people in New England, it's probably under 2 hours. But the southern New England area, it's probably a good hour to get there. So pretty good location, nice convention center here in Marlboro. The directions are here if you want to find them. But let's take a look a little bit here at the schedule. Whoops, if I can get this to. They had a list of forums and stuff in here that we could look at. Here it is. So yeah, there's forums on just about everything. Think about here in ham radio. There's kit building and everything. I'll let you guys kind of read through this. You can poke on the webpage. But all kinds of stuff from Skywarn to kit building. I know there's even an AM forum that's usually held during this. The comedian coming to kick everything off. So if you're, I think that, I don't know, you'll have to look at the schedule. I think that's Friday or something. You can take a look and attend that if that's something that you want to get into to get in the area a little bit early. I know for me, I'll be there Saturday, probably which forums I'm going to sit in on yet. Last year I sat in on forum. That was a forum put on by one of the local guys here that I know. So I think we're having that one again this year. So to look at, I know we're all interested in POTA. We talk about that as well. All kinds of stuff kind of look at and see. And again, go to the website and, read through this yourselves. But of course, there's also,
Rob, can I just mention one thing real quick?
Yeah, go right ahead.
So the Ham Expo has probably more forums in these 3 days than like Dayton, Orlando has, over their 2 or 3 days. They've got one of the largest conglomerates of seminars or webinars or classes you can go to than any other HamFest that I'm aware of. I mean, it is a full schedule, and they've got some really good speakers coming to host some of these. That, I mean, it should, if you have an opportunity to go to one of these, you really should, because some of these are really good in here.
Point. There are a lot of forums here, and again, you don't have to sit in on every one of them, but certainly sit in on a couple if. And a lot of them are very hands-on too. So, like, if you're looking to learn something and get involved in it that you haven't tried before, this is a good way to really get exposed to it and talk to the people, out in the field doing it. Let's see. And then I was also going to mention that there's pretty decent sized tailgating area, HamFest, out in the parking lot. So if you're into old junk like I am, it's a great place to kind of browse around and see if you can find that deal or that rare thing that you've been looking for a while. I know I've gotten some bargains at the HamFest myself in the past. And then, of course, inside, there's also a couple of rooms dedicated to new vendors. Some of the vendors will be there showing off their stuff. There's going to be some big vendors and some small ones. I don't know if it's listed here on the website. So I'm not going to say who's going to be there because I was told to keep that a secret.
Well, I'll just tell you, I mean, they're making this news now. It's Elecraft and Flex Radio will be the two big radio vendors that will be there this year for sure. And of course, you get your Tower Radio and some of those that will be there, and your some of your other normal ones. Gold Medal. They do the shirts and the hats and stuff. They're going to be there. I don't know if the Wireman's coming. I know he's in a lot of the other ones, but I'm not sure if he's going to be at this one or not.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure Quicksilver guys in New England or in the Northeast will be there as well.
Yeah, Quicksilver will be there for sure. Yeah.
And some of the clubs will set up booths. I know, what is it? Is it the Nashua Club kind of sponsors the event? They usually have quite a display. And I think they also offer kind of a get on the air station as well. So if you're new to ham radio or you just feel like getting on the air, I think you can do that while you're there as well. And then some of the smaller clubs might even have booths. So, if you're interested in a smaller regional club, they'll have some representation as well. But yeah, I encourage everyone to go look at this website and check it out. And if you're in the Northeast, definitely consider stopping by this flea market. It's a good one. If nothing else, to just attend, a couple of forums and see what everyone's doing. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, I actually I got my general there. That's where I did my test a bunch of years ago. It's and then last year we did I guess you'd call it a booth, but we did some live for LiveFreeandHam. We did some live broadcasting, I guess you would say. We had our own little booth and had people coming over, and it's pretty cool. I mean, there's like you said, tons of activity, like forums going on, and then they've got a room with like all the vendors and all the stuff. And like Nashua does they take up like the whole, I mean, the last couple of years they've had like the back sidewall, and they had everything from just equipment stuff running, put your hands on it, try it. They had a key, CW keys. They had some company was there, and they had like all kinds of different keys you can buy. You can check them out and try them. So there's a lot to do. And then they got the flea market outside, which is kind of cool because you can go out there and go look for used stuff and might find a good deal. So like I said, it's a good time. I mean, even if you came just for a day or a half a day, or you came all the whole time, I mean, you get a lot out of it. It's well worth it.
Yeah, that's another point that I wanted to make, is that sometimes when you're at these HamFests, you can meet up with people that you've been talking with on the air, or even on the internet or whatever, that you haven't met before. It's a great place to meet all your friends or catch up with people you haven't seen in a while. But yeah, any other thoughts on the Northeast Ham Expo? Are you guys planning on attending, or what's your favorite thing that you've seen at Ham Expo in years past?
Well, one thing I just got to say, this past year at Dayton, I skipped a lot of the presentations. The first couple of years I went to quite a few, and I skipped out on a lot because I wanted to see people, right? And I think that's always an important thing. But you look at like the presenters and the program that they have at HamX, and like it's phenomenal. Just going through and seeing all that stuff. And I think ultimately, there's always, you only have so much time, right? And anyone who's been to Dayton, I mean, it's massive. Like you need the full weekend just to get through the show. And if you spend a lot of time in the presentations, that's less time to go out to the flea market, go to the vendors and stuff like that. But no, this looks like truly amazing. Like the program that they put together, that's awesome. So I just had to get that out there.
Yeah, I know Skip spends a lot of time starting, in the beginning of the year, starting to organize some of these presentations. I mean, he's putting them, together in January and February to have the amount of list of presentations that are being put together. So, I mean, it takes a while and a lot of time to be able to do that, and obviously coming up with a lot of different topics and people available and willing to do it. I want to make a quick plug just for Winter Field Day. I'll be making a presentation there talking about Winter Field Day, some of the changes that we're coming up with, some of our stats from the last 2 years and how they've changed. And, things are getting better. And I'm hoping that kind of give an explanation why like some of our multipliers are having issues this year with some math for the 2024 Winter Field Day, but we're still working on that. But we have some different plans for 2024 or 2025, I guess. So, I mean, yeah, it's going to be a lot of good stuff going on at Ham Expo, but you don't only have just the three all these different presentations. You've got three different speakers as well. You've got they threw it on this year for the first time. They threw in a comedy show on Thursday night for people who may be coming in, give them something to do on Thursday night. And then on Friday night, they've got a DX contester. I can't remember his call sign name right off the top of my head, but he would giving a presentation. Then you got Tamitha Scove, space weather lady, or Space Weather Woman is her name. She'll be giving a presentation on the banquet dinner on Saturday night. So you got 3 good speakers or different things to attend from that perspective as well. So they didn't go light this year. They've definitely made some improvements, and it's my first time being there. I don't really know what to expect. I've heard a lot of mix of various items, but it's probably the one I have besides Pacificon and now Ham Zion. It's the only one I have not been to. So definitely looking forward to attending this one. And you're right, going there and seeing friends and people you get to know, and you only maybe see them at HamFest only. It's definitely a good time for that.
Yeah, they also have there's a couple there that has a embroidery machine, and they make badges and hats. Like you can buy their clothing, hats, get your call sign on it. You can bring a hat and they'll put the whatever you want on it. They'll make a a name tag. The name tags are actually kind of cool because they're magnetic, so you kind of have like a magnetic magnet on the back, and you can just clip it on anywhere. Like you can clip it on your shirt, you can take it off.
Nice.
It's not like a pin.
Yeah, I think that's the sign man. And then the other lady that does a lot of the embroidery, I think, is that I call her the gold medal. I think it's called gold medal products or something like that. She's the one that you'll see her every HamFest. I know she's coming to Ham Expo as well. So
yeah, they're she said to me last year that she goes to them all. So if you're looking at that kind of stuff, I mean, like I said, it's a good time. It's also a good place to network. You meet a lot of people. There was a guy there last year. He had this like kind of crazy antenna he invented, and was marketing it. So it was cool to talk to him about how he came up with the idea, how it works, and they have like it was actually there. I mean, the thing it's meant for like on a tower or something, but he had it like set up and you can see it. So I mean, it is a pretty cool place, and it's for someone like me who was new, the first year, I didn't really get much out of it except that I took my test and I passed, and then we left. So the second year is when I kind of got to go to some of the things and walk around. And then last year we were there, kind of had a little booth and was doing some live stuff and interviewing people and stuff. So it was it's a good time. And like I said, you meet a lot of people. And it's funny because I'll meet people that I've worked over the air numerous times, and they'll come up to me and they'll feel like, "Hey, Todd, right?" And I'm like, who's this guy? But I don't know what they look like, right? So that's been kind of cool too, just to kind of run into people and catch up. And like I said, it's a good time, and it's a nice facility. There's a lot of, it's very open. You're not overcrowded. You can roam freely, and it's a good time.
So Todd, since you get your general at a HamFest, are you getting your extra at a HamFest?
No, not this year. Maybe next year.
Nice try,
hopefully I'll have it before next year. Jeez. But yeah, I mean, if you want to and it was crazy because when I did it, it was like Eric was like, "HamFest is in 3 weeks. You're getting your general." So I crammed for it, and I didn't even sign up for it. I just walked into the room and I said, "Hey, can I take my general?" They're like, "Sure, have a seat." Nice. And that was the end of it.
Yeah, a lot of good points. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to say, I don't know if I'll be able to do it next year, but definitely the year after. I think I want to plan to just go round robin with all the Ham Expos and Ham Fests. Like I'll go to Orlando and then go to Dayton and hit the New England ones, and I guess there's going to be one out in Texas next year, maybe, or I don't know. So, but yeah, I've never been to any of them. Life always gets in the way, and of course, this year, the weekend that we're going to the lake house that's the weekend where like I have to make sure that everything is packed and everything is ready, and I got to tow the boat up to the lake and everything, and that's HamX. So, yeah, can't go this year.
That's a bummer.
Yeah,
but
I'll definitely be at Nearfest though.
Oh, okay. So that's a good segue. So Ham Expo, definitely check it out. Everybody made great points about what's there and why why you should check it out if you're in the area, or even if you're not. Come and check it out. But now let's open it up and let's talk about some of the other Ham Fests here in New England. The other big heavy hitter, like you said, is Nearfest. I think most everyone knows about that one. That one's more of a flea market based type thing. There's maybe 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 forums type of thing, but very few talks. It's more about the gear. But But NearFest, and what other HamFests in the Northeast do you guys, frequent, or have you been to, and that kind of a thing?
Those are the only two I've been to, or that I even know about. NearFest, like I said, it's like I call it like the garage sale of ham radio. Like, there is, like, if you need something, you go just put it on a list and you'll probably find it. So it's pretty awesome. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. There was a club there that they had rented, or they had bought a it was in a movie. It was a news van with a tower on it, for their antenna, and they had bought it as a club, and they had it there, and it's like their mobile, ham radio, thing. But they said the problem that they had with it is that it costs so much money just to, like, to insure it, and to, keep it on the road and keep maintenance and all that kind of stuff. And they were talking about getting rid of it, but it was awesome because they said it was in some movie. I forget which movie it was in, but they said it was like, they don't even know if it was actually used for like a real newscaster, but it was in a movie as a news. It was like a prop. So I guess they got a good deal on it. Wow. So Eric and I met them, I think it was like maybe 2 of them ago we saw them. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff. We have a guy in the club. He goes out early. He buys stuff, and then he sets up his own thing, and then he sells it. So he wants like one thing. So he goes and he buys, like, okay, I'm going to buy this. And, like, let's say he pays like $300 for it. He'll buy a whole bunch of other crap, put it on a blanket and sit there and sell it. And he'll get the $300 back and get whatever he had for free. So he did a whole talk in our meeting.
I've got some friends that do that too.
Yeah. So it's a pretty cool thing. You just to walk around. They got good food. They got, like, it's like a fair. They got like the sausages going, and then there's like door prizes and stuff, and But like I said,
let me tell you about the door prize. This Elecraft back here was the door prize at NearFest on 2013. I won it, and then again, last year I won the door prize again. I got an FT891.
Wow. So, are you kidding me? You won it twice?
I won it twice, almost 10 years apart. So, and I've been going to that HamFest for 30 years. Not every time.
Wow.
But, on and
Can
on.
I borrow your golden horseshoe?
Yeah, I know. But so I always tell everybody, especially if you go to NearFest, put your ticket in the thing. Yeah. You got a good chance.
Yeah, and this year they've moved it to New Boston. So it was in, what was it in, Deerfield?
Deerfield,
yeah.
Right. So they've moved it. I don't know. I guess last year, or the fall one, they had problems. They could only do it Thursday and Friday. They couldn't get it on Saturday or something. So they've moved it. So this is the first time at the new facility, the new place. So we'll see how it goes and what people think of it. But like I said, it's cool. I mean, even if you walk around, you don't buy anything, there's a lot of cool stuff there. And there's, I know HRO has, they normally have a booth there, and you can buy their stuff, and, brand new. And if they don't have it, they can, send it to you or whatever. So there's a lot of cool stuff.
I'm interested in seeing the new venue. Of course, Deerfield was sort of the historic, spot that the Haas Traders flea market, which was kind of the name it used to have back in the day, before it was NearFest. It was always at Deerfield. That was the big thing. And then there were some issues back in the 90s or 2000s, and they got kicked out. And then when they moved it back to Deerfield, everybody was happy. But yeah, the last couple of years, there's been scheduling problems. So I think it's time for a new venue, and I think that might breathe a little life into it and help rejuvenate, because I don't know about you guys, but it seems like it's kind of been going down a little bit the last few times I've been to it. Not as many vendors, that kind of a thing, but let's see what the new venue looks like. I'm excited to see it. Hopefully I can make it up for it.
Yeah.
Well, I would say, I think the new Boston Fairgrounds is probably like maybe a quarter of the size of Deerfield. So,
oh wow.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah,
so it might look
considerably smaller.
Less walking.
Well, I guess we'll have to see. I know the stuff at Deerfield was getting kind of spread out, which made it seem like it was a little bit less attended than it used to be back in the day. But so maybe if everybody's jammed together, maybe it'll spark some interest. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, but like I said, if you're
but,
looking for something, that's the place to go. Like you'll find whatever you're looking for, and the question is which one are you going to buy? Because I mean, I didn't buy any, but it was kind of cool. Like if some guys I know are into antique radios and stuff. I mean, they've got military radios there. They've got, you name it, they've got it. And if you're looking for like microphones, old microphones, it's kind of cool. Like one guy had all antique stuff, like old radios. And, for me, I have no use for that. But if you're an antique radio collector, you might find some good deals on some good equipment.
Yeah, when I was a new ham, that's when I would go with my other new ham friends. We would go up to NearFest and we would find stuff cheap that we could bring home and tinker with, and that's how we got on the air, and that's how we learned, to get this stuff running. In fact, I still have a lot of it around here. Some of it may be back there behind me, but yeah, it's a good place, especially if you're on a budget and you want to find something. Usually you can, but I guess that's true for a lot of HamFests. But like you said, Todd, there's just a lot of selection. But how about other HamFests in the region? Are there other smaller ones up near you guys that people should know about?
Well, there is one. I'll plug this. Some direct competition for Ham Expo is the Rock City Net Ham Fest, which is out here in Rochester, which is probably one of the bigger ones in the area this year. And that's August 24th. And I'll probably pop in there in the morning real quick. I mean, you know how these ham fests are, and they kind of start early. This is like 7 a.m. And whatnot. But it's a Rock City Net Ham Fest here outside of Rochester. And, I've been to this a couple times before. It's nice to pop in and see a lot of local folks and stuff. You're not going to see big vendors or anything. This is kind of, one of the more localized ham fests. My club, unfortunately, didn't do theirs this year. It's the Rochester Amateur Radio Association. We've done one of the bigger ones in the Western New York area for a couple years, but we've had problems with sites, and so we weren't able to lock down a site that was going to be big enough and sufficient enough for what we need for attendance, parking, and everything else this year. So it looks like that's going to have to wait till next year. So a little bummed because the last 2 years, my son's got his general. Him and I always volunteered. And helped out at the gate in the very beginning. And then it was great to just go around, see everyone. And there was a lot of good deals to be had there for sure. But if time permits, I'll probably swing over to Rock City in the morning and whatnot, and at least check that out. You get there too late, some of these local ones, all the good stuff's gone, right? And there's definitely deals. You made a really good point, Rob, about being able to, get, especially for newer hams or hams on a budget, being able to get some equipment and some radios, antennas, gear, at a really reasonable price, and you're avoiding shipping, right? As long as you can get that boat anchor to the car, you're not having to pay to ship. And I know I'm not the only one that's, DX Engineering, Gigaparts or whatever. Like I'm looking to add something for that extra $12 so I don't have to pay shipping, and I get over that $100 threshold or whatever, so I get the free shipping, right? But if your budget's a couple hundred, or if your budget's like, $50, you can find something at a ham fest and walk right out the gate with it. So.
Well, I know at NearFest, like I know a lot of new hams, like they like to get their HTs and stuff, and I know like the bow fangs and all those radios are cheap on Amazon. Like you can get like a Yaesu, HT for like $30 at NearFest, like brand new. Maybe not have the box, but brand new, and they're there like there's tons of them. So if you're new to ham radio and you're looking for in HT, then definitely go there, because you'll find one and you'll have a lot to, and everyone's got them. They all walk around with them. So like, you want to listen to people talk, and they're trying to find, the clubs have like a club channel. I mean, you just scan and you'll find a ton of people talking and getting lost and looking for people, or, hey, have you found this? Did you see this? And so yeah, it's kind of, I mean, it's overwhelming. Like, I turned my radio off. I'm like, yeah, I'm not, can't do this. But yeah, there's a lot to do. And then Tim, one of the guys in our club, he's into CW. His wife was there, and she has like knickknacks, and she does like arts and crafts stuff. And he was sitting there, and she had this little booth of things that she, you could buy. And he set up his CW, and he put his antenna outside the metal shack or whatever, the covering, and he was working CW from the inside the thing with the antenna out, outside with the wire, the coax underneath the building, and coming in, and he was just sitting there all day making CW contacts.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I guess he worked someone in the parking lot, like someone that was there, was in the car or whatever.
Oh, yeah,
so, that was his, like, he goes, I got my first CW contact. It was right here in the parking lot.
Yeah, that's a great place to do it too.
Yeah.
Plenty of people there, and plenty of people to help, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I think Live Free and Ham, I think we're going to be there. We're going to be live, and I think probably doing a live show and grabbing people, interviewing them, that kind of stuff. So I think that's what we have that's what we were planning on doing. I hope it happens. I think it'll be fun. Just kind of be in the middle of it and just seeing people and having people come up and talk to us and tell us what they think and about the new venue and stuff. So it should be good.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Like I said, I'm going to try and make it there. Other HamFests down here in southern New England. There's the Connecticut ARRL convention. It's also known as the Nutmeg HamFest. That's usually in October. I think it's October 13th on a Sunday in Meriden, Connecticut. And that's usually a pretty good one. Like a lot of HamFest, it's kind of a little smaller than it used to be in years past, but it's in a good venue. It's easy to get to right off of 91. And there's a few forums there. There's testing, and it's a great place to see friends. So I always try to hit that one if I can, because it's only about an hour drive, for me. In fact, I even used to work 5 minutes away from where this HamFest is, and because this one is in Meriden, Quicksilver's always there. So it's a good place to go get that knick-knack type of thing that you might need, connectors, whatever. And like you guys said, you don't have to pay shipping, right? So I like going to that one. And then another one that I've gone to twice now, it's a little far for me. It's about a 3-hour drive, is the Sussex, New Jersey HamFest. And that one's always held in sort of the middle of July. There's a few people I know that I like to see at that one, but that's a pretty big venue. It's probably a little bit bigger than the New England Ham Expo in terms of space for tailgating and flea market stuff. They don't have the forums really, and they don't have the new vendors, but they've got an indoor building and a lot of outdoor space. And one of the things I found with that HamFest is that everyone is really friendly, and the prices are really good. So some of the stuff that you look at some of the HamFests here in New England, some of the people admittedly, I think, are asking a little bit much for it. But when I look at the used stuff out in New Jersey, it seems like it's priced a little better, so to speak. So I've had fun going to that one as well. And I think that one is the Hudson convention, ARRL Hudson division convention as well. So it's a little bit of a bigger one. But I just went to that one a few weeks ago. I had fun, took a ride out, and then did a POTA on the way back and bagged New Jersey while I was there. So,
so there's one that's, I guess it's also in the near couple weeks. It's not in the New England area here necessarily, but for others who are maybe not listening in the New England area, is Huntsville HamFest, and that's always a very big one. And I know a few people are talking about whether they're going to be there or not.
What is Huntsville?
Huntsville, Alabama.
What is that? Never heard of that.
I don't have Alabama. That might be a good one to go to.
It's
I'd love to.
probably one of the. It's probably one of the. I mean, it's probably the third largest HamFest in the country. It's obviously just the week before Ham Expo, and I was supposed to be there this year, but because of just scheduling and getting everything coordinated to go, I'm just not able to do that because of the quick turnaround to come right back to Ham Expo. But it's probably the third largest HamFest in the country. And again, somebody was talking about going to it in the chat there, but they've got a great group of forums there as well. And it's all indoors. It's all air conditioned. Of course, it's always the third weekend, I think, in August. And they've got a really good attendance there too. It's probably just a little bit bigger than what Ham Expo is overall. And that one's just the week before here. So, I mean, for those who may be listening that maybe in that part of the neck of the woods, may be worth attending as well. But, the thing about someone mentioned a minute ago is, and this is kind of where I'm going with it, and they always call themselves, and this is why I started to mention this, is they call themselves the most friendliest HamFest of them all. And I think Huntsville probably truly is, but it doesn't matter which HamFest I've been to, whether you're Hamcation or Dayton, and now my first time at Ham Expo, but, I think everyone's always very friendly and courteous, and, they're usually willing to make a deal and bargain with you within a reasonable level. I mean, if you come in and say, hey, here's a $1,000, FT, DX 101 or Yaesu, and it's like, they're offering, for $2,500, and you say, well, I'll give you $1,000 for it. No wonder they're not going to, I can see why, but, the most reasonable offers are usually accepted at HamFest, and people want to move the stuff for whatever reason. And so, I think HamFests are always very friendly and inviting and are good times. Usually for everyone going, I've never really had anyone tell me I'm never going back to that HamFest again, or like, this is a terrible place to be, So it's pretty good for the most part. And any HamFest you go to, and I think I've said this before on my channel and maybe mentioned even on here, is that it's always worth trying to go to a HamFest because you are looking for that deal. Like you said, Todd, you can pick up some stuff for some pretty good prices. So,
yeah, and good point on the haggling. Never pay sticker at a HamFest.
Yeah,
we are cheap.
Yeah, right.
I actually got an interesting question for the group. What's the biggest purchase that you've made at a HamFest?
Tailgating or new, like brand new from a vendor, like a dealer, like HRO or Gigaparts or something.
I'd say whatever. I don't know. Okay. I'm just curious because a lot of times we talk about the deals, but yeah, I'd be curious, like for those of you, like, kind of what's like the biggest purchase you made.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, I basically, biggest thing I bought a couple of like wired antennas and a computer, and I just found like there's like one strip, and it was like, oh, that that what was it, the $30 or $60 computer that they used to talk about. Yeah, I got one of those, and then right next to him, the guy was selling he actually came from New York, and he had all these wired antennas, and I didn't have one, for POTA, and I'm like, oh, I'll take one of those, and we started talking. Next thing you know, he's like, oh, you should get it. So I probably spent like $150 total on everything. But I wasn't really a big spender. But I've seen guys in my club, they go out and look for something, and they bring the cash, and they're like, yep, I want this, and they get it. But I haven't really spent too much, not at NearFest or HamFest, but definitely new, through the store. I spent more than enough money.
How about my FT-DX10 right behind me here? I bought that at HamFest at Huntsville 2 years ago. So that was probably one of the most amount of money I've spent at a HamFest. That was, $1,200-$1,300, whatever it was. I'm always, I'd probably say, if it's like Dayton, it can be for $300-$400 pretty easy. I mean, you go buy one piece of equipment and something new. It definitely is not hard to get there. With tailgaters per se, I've done up to $100 probably with them before, different HamFest, but I don't usually spend a lot. But always, here's one of the things you talked about a minute ago. was bring cash. You always need lots of cash with you because, you get some of these tailgaters, they're only dealing with cash. They can't take your credit card. They're not going to do, some of them might do Venmo or PayPal, but not a lot of the times. So if you're looking to buy some, definitely bring.
It's old school, bring your wad of
old
cash.
school. And 25 and 30 bucks ain't going to get you where you need to go. I mean, you whip out $200 out of the ATM right away because you're going to need that. So, and don't do it at HamFest because they'll charge you a $3 fee.
Yeah.
So you mean guys over 60 aren't into PayPal and Venmo?
Not going to happen.
They go, what? What's that?
Exactly. What is that?
Yeah, the most I've spent was at just this last spring at the Mount Tom HamFest, which I think you remember that club, right, Martin?
I'm not yet. No, I've been looking into that lately though. They've got a lot.
Okay,
of
but
stuff
it's up in your area there, up in
it is
the Springfield, Massachusetts area. Anyway, I was up at that HamFest, and a guy had a whole Yaesu FT891 station, all the radio and all the accessories and everything. And I got there and I'm looking at it on his table. When I first got there, I saw it. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's really great. And price isn't too bad. And I walked away. By the end of the day, he had sold everything except the radio. And he'd never really used any of the stuff. I think he took it out of the box and tested it, and that was it. And then just wanted to get rid of it. I forgot what his story was. But anyway, I went over at the end of the day and I offered him $400 for the radio, and he took it. And it's basically a brand new radio. It's sitting on the bench over here. I'm going to put it in my car.
And it's not a Japan model.
No, it's. I opened it up. I looked at it. It's good. It's fine. So yeah, that was probably the most I ever spent. In fact, you're talking about the ATM. I had to. I borrowed money from one of my buddies, which I hate to do. And then on the way out, I saw the ATM in the lobby, and I said, "Okay, I got to get the money and give it to him while I'm here." So, but yeah, I usually only bring $100, $200, just to intentionally limit myself, so I don't do something like that. But
absolutely.
But that was too good of a deal to pass up.
Is that you go to some of these HamFests, and sometimes you may have a family member or a friend or a club that may be taking care of some stuff for a silent key. And they're, they may have their son-in-law or, the guy's son-in-law or something show up, and he goes, "Hey, there's a HamFest coming up soon. We're going to go take this stuff and see what we can sell to other hams." And sometimes they have no idea what pricing of something should be either, And so, you can walk away with some really good deals, but I guess at the same time, I always like to think I have integrity, and it's one of my key components of myself. But, don't go buy that little, Yaesu $400 radio for handheld for $30 from them either. Give them a reasonable offer for it, for gosh sakes. I mean, don't be so cheap just because you try and take advantage of the situation. But get the deals when you can, but sometimes you realize that these people they say we're selling an estate sale here, we don't know what we're really doing, make me a reasonable offer. Make them a reasonable offer, be honest with them. A lot of times they don't know what they're doing necessarily. So
it reminds me of it reminds me of a story that one of the military guys was telling me. I think it was 2 episodes of Weekend Warriors ago, but he was saying that he was specifically looking for Bengali keys, and somebody at a HamFest was selling them for a silent key, and they had no idea what they were worth. And so there was a key that was like a $400 key, I guess, and they were asking like $80 for it, and he was like, "Look, in all fairness, I'm going to offer you 150 because even 150 is a super great deal, but I have integrity, and I feel bad, paying what you're asking."
Right.
I mean, you're still getting a hell of a deal on it, but I don't feel like taking advantage of those people for that purpose. But you're right. I mean, those are the type of stories I'm talking about, that sometimes those things happen and you just be aware of them, but you can get some really good deals if you get there early and people discover some of those things. So,
and then at the end, there's a lot of people that don't want to bring their crap back, and they discount everything. They'll almost give it away for free. They'll be like, anything on this. One guy had a whole table that says free. Just take whatever you want.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the Sunday afternoon usually, right?
Yeah. It's at the end. They're like, my wife told me not to bring this stuff back.
Yeah, there probably still is, but there used to be guys up at NearFest that would hang out at the dumpsters and the truck, there was a truck there that, like, if you didn't want to take something home and you just wanted to recycle it, the truck would take it. And there were guys that would just hang out at that truck and grab stuff before people threw it in there.
I believe it.
But there was a table at NearFest that it was like an area and it just said free stuff. And it just had all kinds of stuff in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it had wire, it had speaker wire, it had old speakers. I mean, anyone that people didn't want to bring it home and they just didn't care, they just threw it in there. It was kind of like it's like going to our town dump and they have the still good shit, a bunch of other people's junk.
Yeah, that's a good point. And when you're
might find something.
Don't forget to look at the boxes under the table, because sometimes that's where the free stuff or the $1 stuff is. I've got a friend that sells at a lot of the HamFests. He calls it ground clutter, and he always puts that stuff out because it attracts people, and he makes a lot of money just selling those $1, $2 things, or sometimes just giving stuff away. If somebody's buying something else from him or whatever. So yeah, always look down low because that's where the deals are.
Yeah.
Ryan says a radio dump would be awesome. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, let's let some of these HamFests end up like on the afternoon, like you said. Some of those boat anchors that nobody wants.
One other thing I would add too, it depends, and this is more for the smaller HamFests than the big ones like a Dayton or Huntsville or stuff like that. I know, like out here, we've tended to have when we have sponsors set up tables, booths, things like that. Like in Western New York, we have RW Antenna Store, which is out near Buffalo, and they're always active and have a presence. I always make a point to go in and buy stuff. I think a year ago, I bought like 25 feet of ladder line. It's still in the garage. I'll use it for something, but like I'll buy like something from the sponsors if they're taking the time to put in money, put in prizes, set up a booth or something like that. I always try to, go there and, we always need adapters or some wire or something. And, it doesn't have to be a big purchase, but at least make it worth their while for, putting in the money, putting in the time and everything.
You could never have enough adapters.
Yeah, exactly.
I've actually got one of those
because you're always going to lose one
that are, I don't know, it's about an inch and a half tall, and it's got the snap-in cases. And I literally have filled one of those Milwaukee portable cases with like a little handle on it, full of different types of adapters, from right angles and BNCs and SMAs, SMA to SL239s to having a SMA to a PL259, just to have all those different things available to you when you need them, because it's like you don't know what type of thing you'll come across, and like it's just handy to have. Or like, man, I wish I had another barrel connector. I've got probably 4 or 5 of them, so it's good to have always. So you can never have enough connectors because you're always bound to lose one. Hey, Rob, here, use this one here, and then you forget to get it back, So
right.
It's just like, all right, I need to go buy me another one now. I forgot, I gave that off to him and forgot about it. It's like, oh, I won't see him for a year. I ain't worried about it now. It's $3, big deal, right? Move on. So.
Oh no, Vermont Radio lost his antenna.
Oh yeah, the storms came through. It wasn't too bad here. I don't know about what you guys, but
we had a little bit of downpours early evening and then later in the night, but nothing major. New York got it more. How'd you have pan out, Mike?
Where I am, I was okay, and where I had to drive today, and back me down, further south towards the Finger Lakes. It was okay, but you get into like there were a couple places they had to evacuate in the Finger Lakes region near like Seneca Falls and in some small areas. I saw some of the footage. Before I lived in Western New York, I lived down in the Southern Tier region, Binghamton, near the Pennsylvania border for about a decade. And I went through 2 500-year floods in the decade that I was down there. I saw some nasty stuff. I mean, there's not much you can do once that water gets going, other than just try to get out of the way and wait it out. But where I am, we're okay. But there definitely were some regions that got hit hard with flooding. Those with rivers, creeks, stuff like that.
Yeah, my next door neighbors were up in Burlington, Vermont, which is up around the Canadian border, and
Mhm.
they had a tree fall on them while they were driving. Fortunately,
wow.
brand new. They got their car on. They got their car on Saturday.
Oh no.
Brand new.
Oh,
But
wow.
fortunately, they were all right. Kind of shook them up a little bit. Just broke the windshield.
bad.
Nothing else. But they said it was crazy because like they were just driving. They said the trees were just falling down and it was just downpouring, and they just said it was just miserable. So I'm
Wow,
like,
that's
oh,
something.
we didn't. Yeah.
Debbie does the whole East
I mean-
Coast.
Yeah.
I mean, does insurance cover falling trees? I mean, I can see insurance saying, "Sorry, we're not insured for falling trees." You know, it's
Well,
like
I think it
couple-
does.
A couple years ago,
Act of God.
a couple years ago, a
yeah,
huge
maybe.
a huge pine tree fell on my truck, my wife's truck. It fell and it just took out the bed, and I mean it was a huge pine tree. It bent the frame. I mean it was a mess, and the argument was who was going to pay for it, the homeowner's insurance or the car insurance.
Oh,
So they were debating on whose fault it was, and I don't even remember how they paid for it, but yeah. You know, if you're driving your car and something falls on it like a tree during a storm, I think you're pretty much covered. And I know windshields, most car insurance, you get free windshields.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I just had mine redone this week. So
yeah.
Oh, wow.
My wife had hers redone recently too.
It's not like windshields are different now. Like I had mine done about, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months ago. I had a little nick in it, just kind of got bigger and bigger. And I'm like, all right, I got to get it fixed. And it's not as easy as like the old days when they would come and just pop in a new windshield. Like now they got to like reprogram everything, all the sensors that are in it. Like I had no idea.
Yep.
And when they did it, like guys like, all right, you're all set. And I turn on my car, like my whole like dash was like going berserk. I'm like, whoa, this isn't right. Like, this is saying like the car's blowing up.
Yeah.
So, but the guy
Wow.
fixed it. It was fine. But yeah, but it's yeah, they come right to your office. I mean, they still can do that, but they have like these computers that they have to reprogram your whole dashboard.
Yeah.
I guess the
imagine.
windshield's pretty important these days, like more than just a windshield. It's got like electronics built in, sensors or something. All those black lines that are on the top, those are all sensors for different things. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Everything's got sensors in it now.
yeah, it's like, oh, didn't know.
But
I'm glad to
anyway,
have a truck
we're getting sort
that's
of
dumb.
towards the end of the hour here, so we'll just kind of bring it back to HamFests and kind of wrap it up. Do you guys? We've kind of already talked about some of the HamFests in the area, but what are your plans outside of the Ham Expo and maybe NearFest? Do you guys have any plans to go to the bigger ones like Dayton or Orlando or anything like that?
It's on my bucket list for sure. When I can go is another story. With me coaching baseball all the time, I got one more year of coaching, and then the summer becomes more free and more available. But right now and next year, probably not going to happen. But maybe the year after. I'd like to go to all of them, really, just to check them out and see what they're like. And to say I've been to one,
How about you, Paul? Any
Well,
plans?
So I'm gonna enjoy the lake house while you guys are at HamX. I'm gonna do a lot of fishing, and I'll play a little bit of radio. But I'm definitely looking forward to NearFest, and hopefully I can get Dayton on the calendar for next year. But I really got to get Carlos out here because I'm going skydiving for my birthday this year, and so he said he was going to pick Mike up on his way, and he was going to come out here. So we're going to hold him to it.
I'll come watch.
I'm down. I'm down to roll. Yeah, and with that, it's funny you mentioned Dayton. I was actually I almost booked the hotel the other day. I was checking to see if I had enough points. And I do, but it's like it's so far away. It's like, do I use all the points now, or I might need them later? I don't know, but yeah, I've gone out the last couple. I've gone out each year. I've been a ham, so I guess that's the last 3 years or so. and I've had a blast. And being where I am in Western New York, it's like a 6-7 hour drive or so. So it's not bad. It's totally doable. And, that's great, but I want to get down to Huntsville real bad. I've wanted to do that for a bit. That's something that can be manageable maybe next year. My sister lives in North Texas, and I'm not sure when I'm going to get down there next. But when I do, one of the things I'll look, because it's Texas. There's HamFests all the time. It seems what I see down there. Like I'd love to go check out a HamFest down in Texas if it works.
The problem with trip down there. Mike, the problem with Texas is it could be as far as New Jersey or or Huntsville from where you are. Yeah. The state's so damn big,
and that's how it can be sometimes in New York too. Like I'm all the way out in Western New York. Thinking about if I were to drive down to Long Island or something like that, like forget about it. That's
you might as well fly.
And it's easier for me to go out to Dayton than it is to go down to New York City or Long Island, unless I fly. Then it's like I'm there in like less than an hour. But I'd love to check some of them out. The one that I probably will never make it to is the one in Orlando. I travel a lot for work the first quarter of the year, and I can't really take vacation around that time, and so that's Hamcation. That's the one I probably won't be able to make it to. But yeah, hopefully Huntsville in the next year or so, and definitely Dayton.
Always retirement.
Yeah. Retirement, definitely. Yeah.
So I've been to, I'll call it all the big three: Huntsville, Hamcation, and Dayton. Yeah. And then now Ham Expo. I'd like to go try PacificCon at some point. That's one of the things I'd like to be able to get to. I've never done. But the other thing I want to throw out there real quick is if you were looking for a HamFest and maybe you can't get to one of those big three or, Ham Expo this year, or, maybe New England HamFest because you're, somewhere in the Midwest, whatever. Folks, there's always, if you go out to the ARRL.org website or just type in ARRL HamFest schedule, it will bring you up to a page that will give you all the HamFest conventions that are in the area. And you can just literally click on search, and you can do it by your ARRL division or maybe your section, your state, and you can find all the little ones that might be in your neighborhood within probably, let's say, an hour's drive. Yeah. And, they're always, the big ones are always kind of listed with the ARRL division conventions, but there's also the little ones that sometimes it might pop up in the areas that, only be attended by 200 or 300 people, maybe at best, but the schedule's out there. People do call into ARRL all the time and put those on. Thank you for putting that poll up. And so you can always go out to that and find something that might be closer to you and nearby that you don't have to wait till next January or I guess February or May to go to Dayton or Hamcation. You might find one that's in October, November in the area that might be a little closer that you can still grab something in the meantime. So just always be aware of that too. These aren't always just the only HamFest that we have. There's always little ones in your area, in your neck of the woods, somewhere nearby that a club or some other organization is putting on. And those are definitely worth going to. And that's how you can find them out on the ARRL website that Paul posted. So thank you for showing that too, Paul.
Yeah, no problem.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a good point, Marvin. And like I said before, it's always good to go to some of these smaller HamFests, if for no other reason than to just meet up with people and socialize. Sometimes that's what I'll do, is go to a HamFest and not buy anything. I just go in and talk to everybody for the day, that kind of a thing. But as far as my plans go, I am actually planning a road trip to North Carolina to go to the Shelby HamFest, which is one of the smaller kind of regional ones. But there's going to be some people there that I've wanted to meet up with for quite some time. So I'm going to drive down. I'm going to do POTA along the way. And one of my sisters lives not far from Shelby, so I'm going to use that as an excuse to see her as well. So I'm kind of looking forward to that, because I've never really done anything like that. I've always wanted to, but work always gets in the way, kind of like you were saying, Mike. I just never have the time to do something like that by myself. So that's going to be different for me. And then as far as Dayton goes, I keep it tentatively in the back of my plans every year, but something always comes up. This year I thought I was going to be able to go, but we had a family wedding came up and I needed the time off to go to that instead, right around that time frame. So I couldn't go to Dayton, but maybe next year we'll see. But I've been saying that for 4 or 5 years now. But one of these days,
when is the Shelby one? When's the Shelby one? Sorry, I didn't mean
Labor
to
Day
interrupt you there.
weekend, Friday, Saturday, and
Okay.
Sunday. It's actually 2 or 3
coming right
days, Friday and Saturday, for sure.
Cool.
I'll only be there on Saturday, but it should be a good show. I've heard a lot of good things about it, and like I said, there's some people there I've wanted to meet for a while, so that's going to be great. And like I said, an excuse to go down and see my sister. But yeah, so we're kind of at the end of the hour here. So I guess we'll wrap it up unless you guys have any last thoughts or anything else you want to, talk about here.
You just tell me when you want me to kick the ending.
All right.
Thank
Well, I
everyone for
guess
listening, and hopefully we'll see you at HamFest. So if I will mention a quick plug, Ham Expo, we will have a Pacific table and chairs set up at Ham Expo for all the YouTubers, and we will be able to talk with vendors and be able to maybe talk with guests about their experience at Ham Expo or whatever else. So we will have a space there. So come by and we can live stream or whatever we need to do. We'll have a good connection there. So definitely for all the listeners out there, feel free to follow our channels, and we'll hopefully be live streaming from Ham Expo. So we'll have a good internet connection for all of us to be able to do that. So I'm hoping that we'll take the opportunity to make that happen. So we do have a dedicated space this year. So
Awesome.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we'll definitely stop in and see that. And that's a good point. I don't want to speak for you guys, but I'm sure you probably feel the same way. If anybody out there watching, sees any of us at a HamFest, come up and say hi. I'm usually a little bit kind of shy, so you have to kind of tap me on the shoulder. I don't necessarily recognize everybody, but yeah, definitely say hi if you see us out at a HamFest.
And if you see us at a HamFest, we take cash, but also Venmo and PayPal
And beer.
yeah,
beer, whiskey.
yeah. No cash, just for me anyway. Whatever. But yeah, definitely say hi at the HamFest. Get out and support your local HamFest, like some of these guys were saying. Support those vendors, and that's what keeps these HamFests going. So we definitely, want to give that the support and that kind of a thing. So I guess if nobody else has anything, we'll say 7-3 and let you guys have your evening back.
All right, 7-3 guys.
7-3.
Thanks
7-3 guys.
for watching.